Final step, which is focus on finding some proof. If you know what your argument's going to do, you need to find some evidence from either your stimulus text or your stimulus that you're basically basing your answer on. Or research, if you are looking at something outside, and this is something that goes beyond English mostly, to support your answer. Finding proof is essential. You need to be able to find evidence straight away. And if you can do this somewhat in your planning process, immediately you know that each of your main points are valid. Now, as I said before, you can find evidence as you go, provided of course you know your stimulus text quite well. Because the last thing you want to be doing is constructing an argument, getting up to the point of where you're trying to prove it, and you've got no proof for it, and that everything that you've come up with so far doesn't prove what you're saying is true. It will allow you to change that idea if your evidence for it is quite weak and you don't really have something to support it all that well. So that's essentially why you do this in the planning process. And even if it's just so you have a rough idea of what evidence it is you're going to use to support what you're writing. So let's go through that process again. So first of all, you've understood the question. You know exactly what it is you're going to have to write about. You start to brainstorm some ideas. So you do so in such a way that you know exactly what it is you're going to be writing about. You discuss them and you work out how you're going to discuss them. So what it is I'm actually going to talk about in each of those main ideas. I will group them so I know exactly where my main points are and how I can discuss them and how I can build upon each one using that discussion process I just mentioned. Find evidence and then arrange them in order from the strongest point to the weakest point. And that's your planning process. It should literally take you a little bit longer than how I just described it then. And that's literally because you'll know your text already, hopefully. You would have read it, you understood it, and then you'll be able to immediately go, okay, it's got this, it's got this, it's got this, this matches the question, this matches the question, this matches the question. And then, finally, you'll be able to use some things, find some things that back it up. You're making sure you do some double, triple checks, make sure, okay, I'm definitely answering the question, and then that's when you can start writing, and you can feel free as you're writing it to go back to your plan as you look up the top of your page, wherever your plan is, and say, yep, I'm addressing the question with this discussion. And that's basically it for the planning process. So make sure you remember all those things. Have a very strong plan in mind. And that's the thing I tell all my students. If you are in doubt, always have a plan that you stick to and that you know like the back of your hand. Because your questions will change constantly, but if you have a similar process, it makes it much, much easier than when you're just trying to panic and come up with ideas. Because that's obviously it's not going to work, but it means it's just going to come up with all these different variables and ideas and tangents, and you're going to go off in different directions. It'll be a mess. If you have a very strict plan and a very strict process, then it's only going to take you a few minutes, and it means that your argument is far more streamlined than it otherwise would be. Otherwise, that's about it for planning. Until next time, see you later.